Hey everybody, welcome to a short video on contrast medium. So I know we think of contrast media as being something that we give people, something you inject, something they drink. But if you look at the word literally, it is literally a means of making something different from something else. After watching this video, you should be able to explain how contrast media works, list 3 kinds of contrast media used in radiography, and explain why we use contrast media and reasons we may not. The thing that matters most in X-ray is contrast. There are different kinds of contrast. There's image contrast, which we see on the screen, but for today's video, we're going to talk about subject contrast. The ARRT defines subject contrast as the magnitude of signal difference in the remnant beam as a result of the differential absorption characteristics of tissues and structures making up that part. This is going to be determined by the body itself. So the patient is the subject. So that's going to be your part thickness, the mass density of the tissue, and also the atomic number of the tissue itself. Now, you may recognize that we have no control over those things, right? We can't change someone's thickness or what they're made up of. So the way we control subject contrast is through KVP. So at low KVP, you see higher contrast, it's mostly white and black. And at higher KVP, you see more shades of gray. Let's look at some examples. I took these pictures right out of Merrill's from the corresponding chapters. So the abdomen X-ray over here, the KUB, is what we would consider low subject contrast. If we look at the top at the chest X-ray versus the bottom rib X-ray, it's basically the same X-ray, right? It's a PA. But in one, we changed the KVP to help us see the lungs, whereas in the other, we've changed the KVP to help see the ribs. So that's an example of, even though the subject or the patient is the same, just by changing the KVP, we can change our subject contrast. So this is where contrast media helps us out. Now, we can add positive contrast agents, which are radiopaque. Those are going to absorb the X-rays. That's going to show up as white on our image. So if you look at this abdomen X-ray here, this person has drank barium sulfate. Barium is a heavy metal. It's got an atomic number of 56, which is high compared to the surrounding structures. Another type of positive contrast agent is water-soluble iodinated contrast. This one's a bit more versatile than barium, but the atomic number of iodinated contrast media is 53. So you don't get quite as good, quite as high contrast as you would with barium sulfate. We also have negative contrast agents. Oftentimes it's air. It could also be CO2. Now this is what we call a double contrast BE. By adding 2 contrast agents, we are able to see more anatomy than we would with just 1 contrast agent. So, reasons we wouldn't want to give someone contrast. If it's barium, if they have a bowel perforation, barium isn't readily absorbed by your body, and so it could get impacted. It would be very difficult for your body to get it out. With the iodinated contrast media, someone might have an allergy, especially when you're injecting it. The only way to know if you're allergic to contrast is if you've had it before. All right, I have a little pop quiz for you. This is just to test yourself. So why don't you try pausing the video, and then once you have your answers, start the video back up. I will wait for you. I hope you did well on this little quiz. If you didn't, you could go through the video, check it out again. Otherwise, have a great day. I'll see y'all later.